Mystic Eyes. A set of eyes which grants its owner unique abilities. These eyes can conjure different types of elements like flames, induce fear, hypnotize, analyze mana, and many more. Mystic Eyes are so powerful in fact, that there exist massive organizations who sell these eyes for a high price. Their value has a lot to do with their extreme rarity, with one appearing within 3 out of 500 million Americans. I made that up, but I just wanted to emphasize just how rare these relics really are. However, there exists a pair of eyes that are so rare that most don't even think they exist. Eyes that can not only see invisible concepts, but can wipe the very existence of living and non-living things from the face of the earth. I'm of course talking about the Mystic Eyes of Death Perception, belonging to Shiki Ryogi and Shiki Tono. Everything in the universe has invisible imperfections or flaws, but they appear perfectly normal. These imperfections are not what you typically think of, like an extra toe or a slight crack on a phone screen. No, these imperfections come in the form of death. Everything has death, inanimate objects, living things, the air, stars, and hell, even the universe. Death is a concept that is present from something's very creation, and is something that will arrive for everyone and everything. So basically, if everything has a beginning, then everything also has an end. When the Mystic Eyes of Death Perception activate, Shiki's eyes glow a bright blue, and he can now see the imperfections or inevitable end of all things, in the form of jagged and uneven red lines. They can be found on pretty much everything and are located in every direction, spanning the entire world to the entire universe. These lines are the physical manifestation of an object's flaws that come to the surface. They are considered natural weak points, the parts most vulnerable to breaking down. These lines will shift positions regularly and become most visible at night. When Shiki traces the path of these lines, the object or person they belong to will be severed, causing them to fall apart. When these death lines are traced, there's no need for any force to be applied. They'll fall apart simply from being traced. This allows both Shikis to effectively dismember any person or object in their way, with little to no effort. Even if an object or person is incredibly durable, as long as they have lines of death, they'll be ripped apart with ease. Both Shikis typically employ a pocket knife to guarantee a precise cut on any death line they encounter, but anything can be used to trace a death line, even their own fingers. It doesn't matter if you're a human, an animal, a zombie, or a spirit, everything can be cut. Slicing someone's death line isn't just cutting flesh, the Mystic Eyes cut the very soul itself. Since the lines of death represent the eventual end of all things, cutting these lines is like fast forwarding someone's fated demise, basically resulting in the Mystic Eyes cutting your very being, from the flesh to the soul. Those who have their death lines cut are unable to heal their injuries, even beings with regenerative abilities. Arcueid, for example, had to remake her entire body from scratch at a conceptual level, instead of simply putting it back together. The complexity of a being determines how many death lines they'll have. Humans, for example, may have 1 or 2 death lines at a given time, while mindless dead apostles may have dozens covering their entire body. There are certain individuals who appear to have no death lines at first glance, but the more Shiki begins to understand that person through interaction in combat, the more death lines will appear, meaning there's almost nothing the death lines won't appear on. The Mystic Eyes are at their most dangerous when in the hands of someone with lethal skills like an assassin. These individuals like Shiki Tono can use their Mystic Eyes to the highest and most deadly degree, which allows them to mow through entire armies of people with ease. Now, to acquire the Mystic Eyes of Death Perception, you must go through a near-death experience, a situation in which you're on the brink of life and death. Only then will you possibly achieve these eyes. I say possibly because Mystic Eyes in general are incredibly rare, especially the Mystic Eyes of Death. The only known characters to have them in modern day are Shiki Ryogi and Shiki Tono, but because Kara no Kyokai and Tsukihime exist in completely different universes, in reality only one person per world is known to have the Mystic Eyes of Death. I just wanted to warn you before you did something stupid. Both Shiki Tono and Shiki Ryogi possess Mystic Eyes of Death. However, why do they have different designs? Well, there are slight differences with both their eyes. Starting with Shiki Tono, he's able to see and interact with death points. Now each death line seems to flow into a particular spot, known as a death point, a massive blood vessel shaped mass implanted on different parts of an object. If a death line represents the path to an object or person's end, then a death point is like a finish line to that path. A death point is death itself. so striking a death point doesn't just dismember the object or person, but outright kills or destroys them at the conceptual level, effectively erasing them from existence. Striking a death point attached to someone's legs, for example, would kill those legs, making them unable to be used, even if they were cut off and regrown. Shiki can kill the death points attached to someone's soul, which erases that soul from existence. This was done to an immortal vampire who can move their soul into different bodies. Hell, if Shiki hits a death point on a building, the entire building would fall apart and collapse. Pretty much anything can have a death point, like momentum, poison, light, space, and more, giving the death points an incredible amount of versatility. They're so precise that if Shiki encountered a being who has two souls within them, Shiki can just kill one soul, leaving the body with one owner. Speaking of souls, even if you had 666 different lives, striking one death point will kill all of them at once. The soul at the very core is being killed. Shiki-Ryoki's eyes are not just capable of revealing the death lines of living things and inanimate objects, but even conceptual or invisible things, such as spells, bounded fields, diseases, and fate. In her fight with Fujino Asagami, who basically had a form of telekinesis with her mystic eyes of distortion, Shiki-Ryoki was not only able to observe the telekinesis, but was able to slice through the ability. She literally sliced through an invisible and intangible attack. Not only that, she was able to slice through someone's attempts to see her future, cutting their precognition and eyesight at the same time, forcing them to become blind. So Shiki-Ryoki's mystic eyes are able to observe and kill concepts. It's been stated that she can kill the concept of infinity, something that theoretically doesn't have a beginning or end, so Satoru Gojo would take another L. With her basically being immune to fate, spirit possession, and other similar forces, there's likely no limit to the concepts she can destroy. If it has death lines, she can and will erase it.
Wait, did bro just say Shiki Tano can't kill concepts? Shiki killed the concept of Nero Chaos's existence and he killed the concept of information. He can see the death of space, which obviously contains concepts like infinity and other shit. Meaning there's no real difference between the two Shikis. Ryogi just has a better grasp of these invisible concepts and has an easier time killing them. Bot under repair? More like bot under dumbass.
Now both Shiki-Ryoki and Shiki Tono should be capable of pulling off the same feats. Despite their different abilities, they are fundamentally the same eyes, and the visual differences is more of a cosmetic thing than some kind of weird ranking system. The power of your mystic eyes are heavily dependent on your background and mindset. Shiki-Ryoki was born with a connection to the root, basically the epicenter of all the universe's concepts, like time and space. Because of this connection and untapped understanding of the world's laws, that subconsciously allows her to see normally invisible concepts like fate, which explains why she's capable of cutting things that aren't normally tangible. Shiki Tono, on the other hand, is basically the incarnation of killing intent. He grew up in a family of demon hunters who killed for profit. His entire family was killed brutally in front of him. His adopted brother basically tried to murder him, so he's quite experienced with death. That combined with his deadly Nanaya instincts is probably why he can see death points. Their only real weakness is that the mystic eyes can cause immense amount of strain on one's mind, to the point where most people would either go mad or would rather be dead than have them. Tono, for example, would have constant headaches and visions of himself going on massive killing sprees. However, Ryogi has no kind of drawbacks with hers, maybe having to do with her connection to the root. Anyways, the mystic eyes of death perception are one of the most powerful weapons in the Nasuverse. Encountering these eyes would spell instant doom for anyone unlucky enough to be Shiki's enemy. It's no wonder even immortal and all-powerful beings fear their power.